On what's to come. You are just marvelous. Just marvelous. Thank you so much. And again, welcome to Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide. We are not here by chance. We are here by divine appointment. We heard the call and we answered that call. And for our viewing audience, you tuned in at this moment because there's something for you. And as we enlarge that energy field within us, because there is only energy in the universe, and I have quoted Tesla, Nikola Tesla, several times. He said, if you want to know the secrets of life, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This takes it out of the realm of personality, where we get our feelings hurt and stuff happens, and oh this, and he said that, and she said that. Did you hear that tone? I didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. It takes it out of the personality level into the energetic level, where it's just no longer a vibrational match. And if it's no longer a vibrational match, we don't take things so personally, we get so devastated, and the heart, is just the knife thrust in the heart. I've heard that so many times. No, there's none of that. It either works or it doesn't work, right?
Right.
When we put it in terms, it's working, it's wonderful, it's no longer working, or it just doesn't work. It's not good or bad. It just is. And when we accept what is, we can acknowledge our theme, which life is a daring adventure. And Helen Keller, that's her quote. She said, life is a daring adventure or it is nothing. Here is a woman who was deaf, blind, she was mute, that can say life is a daring adventure or it is nothing. And to venture out every single day, that it's a new day, it's a brand new day, it has never been lived on. Here's the paints, here's the brushes. You paint paradise, and in you go. And if you paint less than that, you can recreate your experience. And that is what one of the things I love about our way of life is that we can recreate our experience. Now, there's a beautiful little legend where the master said, come to the edge. And they responded, we're afraid. He said, come to the edge. And they said, we might fall. He said, come to the edge. And they came. And he pushed them. And they flew. Now, I believe that when we come to that precipice of life, and there's really no place to go, kind of like the little monks that were out and they were collecting berries, and they were out, and suddenly one saw a tiger coming forward, and he went down the cliff and the crevasse, and he was holding on, and this tiger was above him, big Bengal tiger, and he thought, I'm going to strategize how to get down from this cliff. And as he looked down, there was a tiger below, waiting. And at that moment, there was a berry growing out from the craggy cliff. And he reached out, and he plucked it and tasted it. And it was magnificent, because he was living in the moment. Come to the edge, he said. And they said, we're afraid. Come to the edge, he said. And they responded, we might fall. Come to the edge, he said. And they came, and he pushed them, and they flew. That when we make that leap of faith, and I believe every single day of our lives is a leap of faith. It's a day that has not been lived in. When we make that leap of faith, I believe that either God will catch us in our fall, or we will sprout wings and fly. That we have that capacity within us. This Wednesday Night Live, we're going to be hearing Robert Roy Conklin on the Tibetan bells, and it's going to energize all of those things within us that we hold on to, an opportunity to release, to let go, to let God do what God does best by means of each and every one of us. And many of you have heard the story how I discovered Robert Roy and didn't even know it. Is that Robert Roy is a consummate bagpipe player. He's been in all kinds of major bands and, leaders of them, and just amazing things that he's done. And I was out in my front yard one evening, it was beautiful. It was kind of one of those Palm Springs evenings. It was dusk, and you could kind of see that sky with the pinky blue that happens at sunset, and the palm trees in the distance. And all of a sudden, a car rounded the corner, kind of shrieked, and a bunch of guys were in it, and there was a really sweet young man walking down the street, and they all yelled out, "Faggot!" And I was like, oh my God, for me to witness this, if there be any prejudice about anyone or anything in my life, let be released at this moment. And I just blessed the boys that were in the car and their ignorance, and the young man, I just waved at him and said, "All is well." And at that moment, God gave me a sign, and I heard the amazing bagpipes and the energy field play Amazing Grace. I thought it was sort of a figment of my imagination, that the universe is just kind of giving me what I needed at that moment. And I stood there, and I just said, "Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this moment of grace, that we can transform energetically these things that happen." And I share it because it does go on the planet. There's a lot of work to do on the planet that we need to send our healing energy and compassion out to, even though we feel like maybe kicking someone in the shins. But what it is a call for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. And so I'm sharing this with our Wednesday Night Live group, that, you know, just this moment of grace, and have this, I felt affronted that this thing could happen, especially here in Palm Springs. I want these guys to know they're a little outnumbered. And most of our guys are really spiritual, but, you know, don't push them. So energetically, as I'm sharing this on Wednesday Night Live, this young man, you know, says, that was me, and his friend said, that was Rob Roy. I said, I live in a neighborhood, and this music just came forth, and he was over, you know, a few blocks over playing his bagpipes, and I could hear it clearly, but almost celestial in my front yard. And I thought, talk about coming to the edge and moving beyond what is demonstrated at that moment in time, to open the healing space and to have someone share their gift. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, and now I see. To have the covering of amazing grace over that situation, to me, was a divine appointment. That there is nothing truly that, nothing happens by chance. Just think about it. We think, well, I wasn't expecting this or that, but we call these things in so that we can grow and expand and move past them. Not to be bogged down. It's, you know, the 23rd Psalm says, you know, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, it doesn't say to build a condo there. Right? We move past it. We move past it. And our soul is restored because we have moved past it. So when we come to the edge, and it's interesting, I just love Kauai in Hawaii. And I was taking a hike, and there are a lot of beautiful places. There's Hana, you know, there's a lot of great places in Hawaii. And we were all, you know, walking through the woods, and there was a sign that said, the end of the trail. And I thought, oh, the end, but it looks so beautiful, you know, beyond that. So I said, let's just see what's beyond that, right? And it was just amazing. Flowers and energy and beauty, and we were kind of making our way through. It was just magnificent. And I think, you know, there are signs along the road that say the end of the trail, but truly are just the beginning of an adventure in something wonderful. Blessed are they who have eyes that see and ears that hear and a heart that absolutely feels the energy of the universe flowing through us as life, as beauty, as aliveness, as laughter, and sometimes our tears Because what are our tears? They're an energy that cleanse, purify, harmonize, balance, attune, and heighten our energy when we need it at that moment. To really let go. To really know that this is a new day. That life is a daring adventure. That every single day that we make a decision that this is our day. And that we are moving into our day. And sometimes we have higher energy than other days. It was amazing when I was doing a pet blessing, and I said, I'm going to now do a pet blessing. One little dog, and I'm so glad that RJ Taylor got a photograph of it, laid on its back and went and just stretched out and said, like, bless me now. I'm ready. It was phenomenal. That even the little four-leggeds respond to the blessing, and I shared with the audience that it really cuts down on vet bills when we bless our animals. It really, really does. So all of life is responding to the blessing and the energy of the all that is. That as we come together in community, the 2 or 3 gather together in my name, what is that? Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, all of the great sages of the ages that we can tap into at any moment. Jesus became the Christ. He was Jesus of Nazareth. He grew. He had his unfoldment. He went out into the wilderness for 40 days. He was tempted. He was hungry. He lashed out. He threw the money changers out and said, you have turned my Father's house into a den of thieves. It was like, get the hell out of here. You don't know from whence you cometh and whither you goeth. He was very, very clear, but he did not win a lot of friends and influence a lot of people that were of a certain mindset, a certain vibration. So when we're ready to change, we're open. I mean, Saul of Tarsus, who became the Apostle Paul, that was thrown from his horse because he saw a bright light. Not all of us have that experience. I have been thrown by horses many times, but did not have that experience. For us, it can be a gradual evolution. And that we are evolving and we are unfolding, and suddenly the standard brand religion with, you know, it's our way or the highway, and we're the only ones that are going to get into heaven kind of consciousness and philosophy no longer fits us. It's not a vibrational match any longer. I can remember that when I was part of the ecumenical group here in Palm Springs, that the Catholic, there was a Monsignor, and I brought my bowls because they wanted me to do the meditation. And I thought, you know, there's a lot of standard brand ministers here, and they're crushed crystal quartz bowls, and they're beautiful. We do them every Wednesday night live, the heart chakra and also the crown chakra. And we play them because we make the longest journey on the planet, the 18-inch journey from the head to the heart, to open the heart. So I brought these, you know. And I knew that the priests and rabbis and, you know, the Baptists and the Methodists, they're all in the audience, and I bring the bowls to do this, my meditation, and I share how it opens the chakra, and they're kind of looking at me like, chakra, what's that? So I explain about the ancient, over 5,000-year-old technique and the body temple, and that this is a temple, as Jesus said, you know, destroy this house, and in 3 days I will build it up again. There is that within us that is immortal, that can never be destroyed, because energy is neither created nor destroyed. Energy just changes form, right? And so I did this whole meditation and just talked about the wonderful gold that we have in the community with all the faiths being represented. We were going to do Thanksgiving service, and there was a lot of energy. And I remember that the Catholic priest, the Monsignor, said to one of my assistant ministers, "Oh, are you the one that holds her down?" And he said, "No one can hold her down." And he, I guess, had never experienced that level of energy, you know, in a minister, especially, you know, a female minister. And I had mentioned that I was once Catholic, and it was interesting. And I was at an ecumenical council, and I was in Tokyo, Japan, and the Indian priest came, and he was from India, and he said, "Tell me, daughter, was the church so bad you had to leave?" And I said, "Well, it's like this, Father. They just wouldn't let me in the priesthood." And he goes, "Oh, say no more, say no more." I mean, you know, it's like, he got it. So, and our way of life is that we are all equal in the sight of God. That there is a spirit within man and within woman, and the breath of the Almighty hath given them life and understanding. There was a social experiment that was given by it was the Washington Post. And there was a violinist who was out in Boston and playing amazing songs. And people were rushing by, and one little 3-year-old was just so mesmerized, he wanted to listen to this violinist. It was so beautiful, and the music went out, and oh my goodness. And the mother said, come along, come along. And then others, they listened for a minute, and they threw some coins and change and dollar bills or whatever in. And at the end of 2 hours, he had $32. And the social experiment was that this was Joseph Bell, the most renowned violinist in the world, who had just played in Boston at one of their amazing, amazing auditoriums. And the tickets were $100 a piece. So he took the challenge to play out in the street. And because he was not in a setting that was glamorous and all of that, many could not recognize the genius and the brilliance and the energy of his playing. And I thought, isn't it interesting, when we are mindful, when we're really coming to the edge of life, and that means every single day of our lives to give thanks for this day. I accept my good and my unexpected good. That I recognize the brilliance and the beauty when I see it, even though it's not in a setting that I may recognize. Blessed are they who have eyes that see, who have ears that hear, who have a heart that is opened. Because the miracle of life is so available for us when we see this energy, when we experience it at such a deep level. So today, as we come together and we look at all the opportunities that when we come to the edge, if you've got those butterflies and that kind of like, ooh, you know, that feeling. See, when I get that feeling, I do it. I know that that's the universe saying, I'm giving you the divine boot, honey. It's time to get out to the next level. And if you get the divine boot and you feel that you've had the rug pulled out from under you, you will always land on higher ground. Always. Because blessed are those who are open to receive. And that we are moving out into life every single moment that we are called upon. Because life is a daring adventure, or it is nothing. And I don't want to be, one of those people, the numbness of life that sets in, and the routines of work that sets in. I want to be one of those people that just takes hold of life and runs with it. So in that, we're all going somewhere, and do you know where it is? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher.